So my name's Seth Kybird. I'm the CEO of NTS Nuclear Transport Solutions. And we are the world's leading nuclear transporter. That means we move nuclear materials by train, by ship, and we have some specialist engineers who help us do that. We are also a new business. We were formed only earlier this year in early 2021 by the merger of three organisations: PNTL, which focuses on shipping, INS, which focused on engineering, and then DRS, which focused on the rail side. And we're a new organisation and trying to build the best of all the three brands together into one great organisation. So we face a number of challenges, both in our markets, which are changing dramatically, and we're facing the issues around decarbonisation, which we've got to respond to. It's the right thing to do, and it's what our customers want. But internally, I think is where we really have had some challenges. We've merged the organisations, created a new organisation during lockdown, during the pandemic, and we've got the very standard challenge of bringing together different cultures into one organisation and trying to integrate some of the support, particularly some of the support functions, whether that's the HR function, the IT function, or the finance function. So the challenges really are on that people side, but also optimizing the processes and making sure we've got the operating model which allows us to be successful. I think the support from Monochrome has been brilliant. I think I'd highlight a few aspects. Firstly, there is the kind of the technical expertise, that knowledge, and bringing in somebody from the outside or individuals from the outside who have worked in different places and done, whether it's IT, whether it's change, whether it's organisational design, have done it, seen it in different places, and bringing that thinking in. An organisation of NTS's size can't afford or need to have people permanently on the roll or develop that expertise itself. So buying it in is absolutely vital, and that expertise has really been cutting edge. I think one example of that is probably in the IT area, where Tara, who Monochrome provided, really has come in and has been able to set a standard for what the rest of the world is doing and hold us to account and saying, where are we against that standard and how do we get there? So I think I'd really highlight that. I think another thing Monochrome had done is brought in a lot of discipline around change. One of the big failures in change is when you don't adequately specify at the start what you're trying to achieve. You dive in, you buy a new system, you redesign a new organisation without really thinking about what the core requirements are. And that discipline of thinking of core requirements, not letting us run off and start doing change without having it thought through properly, actually makes things move faster in the long run. You don't have to go back and redesign because you got it wrong the first time. And Monochrome have been really good on that, really good on helping us think that through. And I think the other thing I'd say is, what we've had from all the people who've worked with us from Monochrome has been that sense of drive and energy. To be honest, it's a level that we probably didn't have in the organisation in terms of doing change ourselves, and that drive, that persistence, that push is starting to rub off on the rest of the organisation. So I think I'd say those three areas are really what Monochrome have brought. Probably the biggest areas of impact are it's probably the design that we've done around recognising we needed to bring different functions together, support functions. And so that has really been an area of change, and it's been an area where the transformation team, supported by Monochrome, have really been able to set a standard and help us merge those functions. It's still ongoing, and it's going to take a while, because we're finding, I think, what every organisation that goes through a merger does, which is you can do all the org charts and all the design work you want, but you do have the challenge of different cultures coming together. And sometimes that can cause friction. Sometimes it's a healthy tension, but it is always there. And there's always that sense of change and loss often with the people you're working with. And I think the transformation team, by being at the kind of centre of it and driving it forward, has really helped us really push through some of those tricky discussions and tricky steps. It's flown by because there's been so much to do. It's been challenging. It's been uncomfortable at points when that happens when you're merging an organisation, but it's been energising. I think that's how it's felt. And the only way to approach a change like a merger or creating a new organisation is you have to go at it in a really controlled but really pacey way. Because if you just kind of sit back and hope things will kind of merge together over time, almost by accident, or just by being closer together, it's not going to happen. You've got to be much more definitive and thoughtful about how you do it. The advice I would give is, firstly, get outside help. because whatever your sector is, getting people who have done this before on numbers of occasions, have developed their own approaches and methodologies, is absolutely vital. And having somebody, particularly in a senior leadership position on your exec, would be my advice, who can say, well, I've seen this done before and it didn't work when we did it like this, or it worked when we did it like this, is absolutely vital and gives a lot of confidence to your company, but also to your board as well. So I'd really recommend bringing in that outside expertise. I mean, and the other challenge is, you cannot communicate too much on this. You've got to be in a position where you're over communicating and that you're boring yourself because you're telling the staff the messages. Because it's amazing, you sit there thinking that people have picked things up, and we still get questions. Why do we do the merger? What's the strategy going to be? You've got to communicate. You've got to keep at it. And I would look at bringing expertise in who can help you just keep that kind of flow of information for your people. Absolutely, I would recommend people talk to Monochrome and look at what they've got to offer. They've been valuable to us. So yeah, absolutely. So Monochrome worked with our transformation team, and they were embedded in there. They weren't advisors to it. They were actually a core part of the team. And we had Matt Davies, Matt Swift, and Tara Bamford covering org design, IT programs, and that type of thing. And they were absolutely invaluable and a critical part of the team. One thing I think we should have done better. I mean, there's probably two things we could have done better. Firstly, communication, and I think it's a recommendation to everybody. I don't think we communicated enough. I think we thought we did, but it turns out we weren't doing enough. So I think that's something. And the second thing is, it's not so much a mistake we made, but it's a recognition that whatever you set off on a plan for something like this, it will change. And you need to have a attitude and a posture of agility that you can change track, review what you're doing, and not be scared to restructure, say, your transformation team, your change team. Not be scared to move people out, not be scared to bring new skills in, and be very aware that whatever your plan is at the start, it almost certainly won't look like that. That's not a sign of failure. That's a sign of being responsive.